All right, welcome back in OTB. As we know, New Orleans Saints traveling to Tampa to take on the Buccaneers. Buccaneers 5-6. New Orleans Saints 4-8. And yes, the Buccaneers do lead that conference with a 5-6 record. It's crazy to hear Ken Trahan of Crescent City Sports say 7 wins might win you this conference, but it's actually factual. In a 17-game season, 7 wins could potentially win you this division. I don't think it will. I think it might take 8, maybe even 9, but the Saints are still in this. It's not what you want. It's not the team that we had in mind. We thought they'd be completely different, maybe even flip it, maybe even 8-4 in the preseason. I know I was. I was pretty high on who they brought in, paired with who they already had, but we know the way the Saints have lost games this year. So they are 4-8. They're 1-4 away from the Caesars Superdome. So how do you go get a victory in this one? They do match up well with this team. They have, at least in the past. That game in the Superdome, you had a ton of turnovers. Key moments of that game, you had those turnovers. And so there's still a blueprint for success in this one. You got to get healthy, though. You got to get healthy. I mean, I don't know where we're at. Mario, have you seen the latest as far as who is expected to play? Because the injury list has been long and distinguished, as we've talked about.
Yeah, I have it pulled up now. From the latest injury report from practice, whatever day that was, Thursday maybe, Josh Andrews is going to be out. He's been the starting center recently. Jawan Johnson will be out, and Peyton Turner will be out. But Marshawn Lattimore is questionable for the game, so you might get him back.
Yeah, if he probably wants to come back because Mike Evans is on the other side. You said Peyton Turner's out?
Yes.
Oh, that's weird.
Ankle injury.
Did he miss any time yet this year?
Yeah, a little bit.
He
was playing really well too when he got hurt, unfortunately. On a TFL, I believe. But yeah, unfortunately, no Peyton Turner again.
He said Jawan Johnson is going to be probably out for this one.
Yes, he will not play. Also ankle injury.
And he's been key for the Saints offense. He's been a real weapon for them. I mean, certainly in the red area, he's been a guy that Andy Dalton has targeted, and he's come up with the plays. And so that one obviously will affect the New Orleans Saints and their offense. But man, at some point, you just got to go out there and you got to win some of these games, and you can't have just disastrous moments. And we can point to the moments in which you're losing these games. I mean, even the last time you played the Buccaneers, I know it was incredibly early in the season. It was the second game of the season, I believe. But so many moments we can point to that game that lost you that game. And it's just kind of been the theme for the Saints, because this isn't a team that is getting blown out. Like, we've seen teams in the NFL this year that are bad football teams that have 3-4 wins just getting blown out. I mean, you look at their losses, like the Tampa Bay one we already talked about. Then you lose to Carolina by 1 score. You lose to Minnesota by 1 score. You lose to Cincinnati by 1 score. Right? It's a football team that just went out there. They're rolling off victories left and right. And then you lose to Arizona by 1 score. All right? And Baltimore got you 27-13. But you're not making the plays to win games. You're making the plays to lose games. And at some point, you just think this team, because they have so many veterans, they have so many leaders on this team, that they're going to not have that. Now, the injury stuff, it is what it is. But that's part of the NFL. That's the way it's going to be for 30 of the 32 teams. That's the way it's going to be. I mean, those teams that stay healthy, it's a cliche that's usually the teams that have the most success, but you have to deal with injuries in the NFL. It's just part of the game, and they've been in key spots. I do understand that, but at some point, you start getting some of these bodies back, you have to make the most out of it. Like, Lattimore playing in this contest, it's an obvious statement, it's crucial for them. Like, you're going against Tom Brady and a group of receivers where you need all the bodies you can. So hopefully he's able to get there and get on the field, because as Ken laid out, you're Tampa Bay and you have Atlanta, okay? Those are 2 games. You win those 2 in a division that's struggling, you like where you're at. Now you got to go on the road to Cleveland. They got Deshaun Watson back. We'll see what they end up being. They've been a team that's actually been really good in his absence. But you got to go at Cleveland, at Philly. It's a tough stretch. Okay, it's a tough stretch to finish the year, but you also get Carolina. So 7 wins might win this division. I don't know. If you get those 3 wins against those 3 teams in your division, you still have a chance. So my point is, there's still something to play for. And this team has so many veteran players. I hope they realize that. And I give you my situation all the time. I've been on a team that's been 4-8 and still made the playoffs and won a playoff game. You roll off 4 victories in a row. You control what you can control. Now, the Broncos were 8-4 at that time. Didn't think they were going to lose 3 straight before they played us in the season, but they did. this isn't even that scenario, right? The team that's leading your division only has 5 victories, and you played them tonight on Monday Night Football. This is a massive game for the Saints. And if they can find a way to get this victory, you almost hit reset a little bit, because who knows at that point what the Eagles are going to have. Maybe they clinched. Maybe they already clinched because of the way they're playing. Maybe Minnesota loses a couple of games. We don't know. Like, we'll see how that plays out. Probably not, but maybe you get an Eagles team that's resting some players. Whatever it is, you just got to control what you can control, and that control is tonight on the road against the Tampa team that looked like they had it figured out, and then they go out there and they lose the game, right? So there's no team in the NFC South right now that can just roll the helmets out there and win a game. Take full advantage of tonight. Hopefully you're healthy. The injuries that Mario just gave you, there's some players that obviously could help you, but it's not going to be the entire game plan of what you're trying to do there in Tampa. So hopefully the Saints go out there and get a victory.